let's inevitably have a little look at COVID. What do you think that we've learned from the COVID years about how to communicate risk and uncertainty effectively?
I, I'm not quite sure how much we've learned. It seems to me that now that COVID's over, that in other domains, some of the lessons haven't quite translated. But let me talk a little bit about what I hope we've learned, perhaps. I think one point is to give people the information they need. So it needs to be timely. People are not in a position to wait for the cycle of kind of academic analysis. People were very thirsty for information much throughout the pandemic, and being able to provide that to them, on a website that got updated every day with the latest information, with in a format that they found that was just easy to read off. And then I think really importantly, that people were able to find themselves in the risk information. So I'm a woman of a certain age. I have an underlying health condition. What's the risk to me of a serious case of COVID, of hospitalization, of death? And what's the risk to me of taking the vaccination and different types of vaccinations? So being able to find yourself, your identity in the risk information, I think was very important to people. And I'm not sure that we see that in other domains now, whether it's possible for people faced with another kind of health risk to go and find that information that fits their profile. But I think that was something that did get done during COVID, and I hope that it could be replicated and sort of just become a standard thing. I think there was also recognition, at least in some places and some of the time, to sort of meet people where they were at, to understand the constraints that people faced, to understand maybe the sort of mental models, perhaps surrounding vaccination and the role of pharmaceutical companies and things, which lay behind some of their instinctive reactions, and still to communicate with them, to recognize that as maybe it wasn't something you agreed with, but to recognize that that was their starting point, and then to try to talk to them from there about what the sort of risks and benefits, both of the disease and also of the vaccinations were, or other protective actions like wearing a mask. So not just communicating to this sort of ideal member of the public who's like a clean slate and loves science and is happy to receive the whatever information you want to give them, but recognizing that people are not clean slates. People start with models and in some cases sort of preferences which are going to affect their responses, and thinking, okay, then it's my job as the risk communicator to work out how to nevertheless provide this person with useful information and something that they feel they can use. And then I think also in some places and at the best times, there was also recognition and some experience in communicating about uncertainty. So saying, here are some of the things we don't know yet, but given that we don't know, we're recommending this policy, or we're going to implement this restriction. And it may change, because right now we're collecting more information. It's very fast evolving, and it may change a couple of weeks down the line. We commit to constantly reviewing the information and constantly updating our policy. I mean, if only that had been kind of translated into the way that we handle lots of risks, and I don't really think that it has. But the idea that the scientists might commit to kind of regularly updating the scientific information, making that available to decision makers, and decision makers committing to regularly reviewing the scientific information, so we could be sure that whatever regulations, rules, laws, recommendations were in place really reflected the latest scientific understanding of, let's say, a health risk.
To find out what kind of data storyteller you are, why not take our data storytelling scorecard? It takes just 2 minutes to complete and will give you a personalized report right away. Visit data-storytelling.scoreapp.com or follow the link in the show notes.